Done no research on them though. That's
Greetings,
kind of
viewer. How are you doing? Welcome to Full Record Jacket with Phil and Ben. And on this particular edition, Ben has been buying stuff, and we are going to see what it was. So, Ben,
what it was that it is
what it
that
was
I
that
have
you
been
bought,
buying.
what it is that you've now got in your record collection.
What it is, because we've done a show since I sorted out my record collection, haven't I? That was a nightmare. That's all I'm going to say.
Is it now sorted?
Never doing that again. It is sorted. It is.
Is it alphabetical?
Yeah. It's well, I didn't do it like I did it before. When I sorted them out into alphabetical order before, I did them in exactly alphabetical order. So all the Bs were then in alphabetical order within the Bs, so Beatles, Bee Gees, all that sort of stuff. And I had half as many albums then as I have now, and that took me 13 hours to do. So I wasn't going to do it in that way. So what I did, I got them into the A's and the B's and the C's, and some of them are already in sort of order. But I basically got all the B's together, and then if there's albums, but like so, the Beatles, all their albums together, Bob Dylan, all their albums together in chronological order. But the B's are basically all together. The C's all together, but all artists are together.
And did you put Bob Dylan? Did you put Bob Dylan as a B or a D?
As a B.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to find some information on one of the things. So yeah, that's how I sort it out.
I'm a bit old-fashioned with this because if I have to do it by their surname. Because if I'm looking for Springsteen, if I'm looking for say Bruce Springsteen, I'm going to immediately go to the S, and if I want Neil Young, I'm going to go to the Y.
Yeah, well, I go to the.
But then that's a bit odd. But then if I want Little Richard, I'm going to go to the L.
Yeah, it's funny how it works out like that, isn't it? Or should the Beatles go in?
Well, that's kind of. I think those don't count, though, do they? When you're making alphabeticalized lists, that's generally not included.
I can, in front of me there, I can see my Beatles albums, Arctic Monkeys. I can see a Bon Jovi
It's good to have it all in
the
same place.
Yeah, I've got all my Elbow albums. I can see them there. Especially down here, I've got my special favourite album. So all my Oasis albums, Matchbox 20, and the New Radicals down here. So, but yeah, I've bought a few albums, Phil. I said at the start of the year I wasn't going to buy any more, but I've bought some. And the first album is the second album by a Australian band called Jallar. That's called Australian sounding, isn't it? Jallar, you flaming Jallar. Yeah. And it's called Juna Spirit. That is a good album cover. So it's kind of jazz-infused experimental art rock, I think is the best way to...
okay.
It's a bit more melancholic. It's from 2015, I think. No, their debut album was 2015. This is from a year that I can't find because it hasn't got... Normally they have it on the back, don't they? But anyway, I think 2018 it was released. So it's I think the album before was a little bit more dark and melancholic. It's got some good guitar work on it. So yeah, it's sort of, I think the best way to describe it is jazz with a sort of post-punk avant-pop element woven into it. So that's Juna Spirit by Jallar. Flaming Jallar. So that's that one.
Okay.
And the next one, well, I'm going to pad for time while I do a little bit of research on it. 1 second. You pad, Phil. You pad.
Well, Ben has been collecting vinyl now since, I'm not quite sure when, late 2010s or something like that, and he's now amassed.
Yeah, it was late 2010.
Well over 1,000 records. In fact, have you got 2,000 records now, Ben?
No, not yet. No, God almighty, I need a new house.
It's over 1,000 records, every kind of genre that you could think of, including...
I do, even jazz.
From jazz to hip-hop. I don't know if he's got...
Yes,
I'm not sure if he's got any classical. Maybe he has got some classical.
I do have some classical. It's in a pile there, which is going to the local record shop. So, anyway, next up is an album by... It's the debut album by Flock of Dimes. Good album cover again.
It's unusual. Give it that.
Yeah, this is the project of Jen Wesner, best known as one half of the indie rock duo Wyoke. It was released in 2016 through Partisan Records. It's sort of dreamy synth pop, Phil. A bit art rocky.
Okay.
But yeah, it's good. Really good lyrics, good vocals, a good sort of addition to the collection. So that's If You See Me, Say Yes by Flock of Dimes. Get your lips around that one when you add a few beverages. Right, now the next one, I think I know a little bit about this one, but I am going to find it in my Discogs account so I can tell you more about it. What's it called? Love and Hate. It's actually called Love and Hate in Desperate Places. Desperate Places, and it's by the Boxmasters, who are Billy Bob Thornton's band. So I've got the debut album, which I got last year.
Is he the guy that was married to Angelina Jolie, or he was involved with her?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Kind of a bit. Is it weird and gothic? Because I get the impression that they were a bit weird and gothic, but
no, I don't think it is. I don't think it. I've not. It's. I'd say it's lively melodic rock. It's the best way I could probably describe it. But yeah, it's Billy Bob Thornton. He goes when he's in the band. He goes under the name Bud Thornton. And I think he does it with J.D. Andrews.
Okay.
I think it's kind of like their sort of side project. So I think it's got contributions. I think on the back it will tell me. Oh, I think his daughter's done the artwork. Billy Bob Thornton's done the artwork. But yeah, I think it's got Kurt McKim on guitar, Raymond Hardy on bass. This is actually the 17th album by the Boxmasters.
Wow.
And it says there, yeah, Kurt McKim and Raymond Hardy. So it's got the singles Jane Mansfield's Car and Goodnight Sleep Tight, I'm Gone. 17 albums. So I've got 2 of them altogether. So, yeah, it might be worth a listen for you, Philster. It's another good album. I like the album cover. I think if it didn't have these bits here, it would have been better.
I'm trying to work out what that actually is.
I think it's like, you know, when you get these, when you go to see a psychiatrist and they show you like ink blobs and they sort of say, oh, what is it you're looking at here? I think, looking at that could almost be somebody kneeling over, cradling a baby that's crying.
I thought it was like a furry animal. I thought it was like a brown furry animal.
Yeah, it's got that sort of feel, but I think, you'll have to have a look at a picture, I think that's somebody hunched over a crying baby.
It could well be.
So, yeah. So there's that one. If anybody, so that's the Boxmasters, Love and Hate in Desperate Places. Right, next up, you know a bit about this next album, Philster, because we've just been discussing it. I got the 25th anniversary edition splatter vinyl. This is the silver splatter vinyl, I think this one here.
So does that give you anything, any new music, or not? It's just the same album again on a different...
It's the same album again, just on a different disc. I've been sucked in by marketing here, haven't I?
Yeah, slightly.
I've been sucked in by marketing.
Are you hoping that's going to be worth more money in the future?
It's worth on Discogs. It is worth more money now than when I bought it for.
Have you kept it inside the shrink wrapping?
I have, but I think you're sometimes better off. I don't know what the material is of these shrink wraps and whether they'll degrade over time and sort of bleed into the record. Yeah.
Ink on the outside. Well, it would only be the outside that would ruin it, wouldn't it? Unless there's some kind of gas that comes.
Well, you don't know.
I know there was a thing with some kind of plastic sleeves people put records in that had problems with them, didn't they?
PVC sleeves, something like that. The ones that go brittle in the sunlight.
Right? There was some kind of gas that leaked out and then caused blemishes on the vinyl.
The records to vinyl, yeah. So
maybe we should take it off.
And that's my problem. Yeah, but I've got so many that are still in the shrink wrap film. So, but yeah, great album. I think that's a really good, I think it is a very underrated album. So, but we've discussed it before, haven't we? We did a review of Standing on the Shoulders of Giants. I think it was one of our most watched videos.
Is that right? We should do
back in the early days.
We should do videos about specific albums because more people will probably watch them.
Well, we were supposed to do one this week, and then you were like, "Oh, I didn't really listen to it."
Yeah, that's true.
So I came in prepared. Anyway, last two albums. I'm not going to bore anybody any longer. It is the debut album by the French duo
Air.
So released January 1998. It's one of the founder members of that sort of chill out, down tempo electronic music movement of the late 90s. So a lot of synthesizers, Phil, dreamy melodies. I do like the atmospherics of it, or as our friend Shoegaze 93 Sam would say, the ethereals of it. But I would say lounge, space pop, and trip hop are probably the three vibes going on in this album. It's obviously got the big single "Sexy Boy" that probably more people know off of this. So I think a very good addition to my collection, Philster, because I do like a bit of trip hop. So, and I think this is a classic of electronic music. I'm going to put it out there. This is a classic. An underrated classic, Philster. So, last but not least, we've gone from Manchester and then we've gone to America with Billy Bob Thornton. I can't remember the other places we've been to, but we've just popped into France. Next off, we are flying round the world, Phil. Going to the land of hobbits and lamb and New Zealanders. We're going to New Zealand. And this is the debut album by a singer-songwriter from New Zealand, obviously. Eddie Johnson. He goes by the name of Lontalius.
Right.
So, and the album's called I'll Forget 17. So whether that's because he was turning 18, but I've listened to bits of it on the Spotify. I'd say it's kind of lo-fi indie pop, dreamy indie pop, I'd almost say. There are some twinges in it of electronic and maybe a hint of R&B. But it's certainly an album about sort of, I don't know, the uncertainty of youth, Philster. That's what I would put it down to. But it's a good listen. I really, really enjoyed it. I quite like the atmospheric production of it. And it reminded me a little bit of, I don't know if you've ever heard anything by the XX or James Blake. But I think this guy could be one to watch for the future.
What's his name again?
Lontalius. That's Lontalius. And the album is called I'll Forget 17.
Okay.
So, yeah, a good album. Good album. So I think he's one to watch for the future, Philster. And that concludes, children, what I've had. Oh, and this. Forgot Jamiroquai's Funk Odyssey.
Is that what
from
it is? I was trying to work out what that was.
Very bass heavy. It's the one with Little L on it. Love Philosophy. You give me something that nobody else can give.
So that
I do like a bit Jamiroquai. It did shake the room. I forgot how bass heavy it is. But then I suppose it's going to be with... I do like Jamiroquai. It's sort of... He's one of those artists that I don't listen to. And then when I listen to him, I should listen to him more. And then I go away and don't listen to him anymore. But I think he does something a little bit different to other stuff that's out there. What he did at the time, anyway. And I quite like that about him. So, and the boy could dance as well. So, what more? Yeah. So that was a present. That was there. So I didn't buy that one. So yeah, all is good with the world, Phil. So the collection is brimming. But I have slowed down a lot in my purchasing because I've got to be more disciplined and I've got to listen to more of the stuff that I've got. Apparently. And there is a pile in there of about 30 odd records that I am getting rid of to the local record shop. I've had a cleanse.
Wow.
Because nobody needs in their collection Barbra Streisand and Chris Christopherson.
So didn't you have two copies of that one?
Yeah, I got rid of one and now I'm getting rid of the other copy. And the BBC Dialects disc as well. And some compilation things. And yeah, I had 3 copies of Queen's Greatest Hits. 3 or 4 copies of Brothers in Arms by Dire Straits. I did last time I got rid of some. I had 3 copies of Double Fantasy as well. Turned out Triple Fantasy if you're in my book. So.
Queen's Greatest Hits must be one of the most common vinyl records around, mustn't it? And the Dire Straits one's pretty common.
I think so, yeah.
That's obviously not worth it.
Yeah, well, I think that that Queen's Greatest Hits album, I think, has been in some like the top 100 for years.
Forever. It's
one of those albums. Yeah. So, no, I had a bit of a cleanse. It's just stuff that, some of them are worth... The BBC Dialects disc that I've got, which I think is what was sent out to radio stations and stuff. I haven't listened to it. When I put it into Discogs, it was actually worth, not a massive amount, but it wasn't nothing. It was sort of like 15 quid. But I've decided to get rid of it. Because I don't want to sit here and learn how to speak Geordie.
Fair enough.
So there we go. So that's it, Phil. So that's what I've been given, buying, and all that jazz. Go listen to them. Phil, because he does all the admin, he'll try and remember all these albums and put them below, and then you can go and find them, and you can tell me if they're rubbish or not.
There you go, viewer. That's what Ben has been buying. Join us for another episode of Full Record Check It very soon. In the meantime, thank you and goodbye.